Welcome to Critical Thinking with Miller's Minions. Today, I, Claire Wendy McPherson, will be talking about the Yellow Man. In a pre-Islamic Arab folklore, the ghoul was created as a nightmarish creature who lives in the desert, a shape-shifting monster who lures travelers away from safe paths to devour them whole. The word ghoul comes from the Arabic ghoul. This means to seize or to snatch. Ghouls are also believed to haunt graveyards or woods, taking on human-like forms to trick the living. The ghoul is often described as filthy and greedy. When the ground settles in the graveyard after a fresh burial, there's a sunken outline of the grave. As a child, I often laid in these settled graves. Grandma lived beside the church, and a narrow path connected her back field straight to the graveyard. The path always made me feel like I had a special job to watch over the cemetery. There were rarely any mourners, but always new graves. I always pretended there were ghosts, especially at night. There was something about the eerie blue glow on the different shapes and colored stones, since there was always memorial lanterns haunting the graves, especially at night, since the graveyard gets a bad reputation. I always felt like the cemetery had a personal connection with me, like it was haunting me with a purpose. On a brisk fall evening, the sun set over the leafless tree hills of Grandma Lena's. My grandmother shouts, "One more lap," from the kitchen window. I zoom around the field at a speedy 11 miles an hour on my electric golf cart. After I made my last turn, I stopped in the middle of the trail, and I could feel a presence with me. Turning to the wooded thicket, a slender, yellow man without a face stood perfectly and still. Although he had no eyes, I knew he was looking at me. Shivers shot down my spine. In a moment of panic, I ditched the now incredibly slow-feeling golf cart and sprinted to Grandma for the highly coveted wooden spoon protection. The Yellow Man stayed in my mind through the winter. As the days got colder and snow began to fall, I started to find left shoes, high heels, boots, and sneakers. Grandma said it was a coincidence, but I could feel that she was hiding her concern to make me feel safer. The shoes continued for 2 more winters, but nothing ever came of them. However, to this day, I'm convinced they are somehow connected to the Yellow Man. Perhaps he was more like a ghoul than I'd thought. In older folklore, ghouls were said to dig through graves for bones and dead's belongings. Maybe the shoes were the Yellow Man's idea of a peace offering to comfort me of his presence in my life. The following fall, I stood behind Grandma's house. There are 2 fields with a small path that connects them. In the very back, a small hill stands surrounded by trees. It was here that the Yellow Man made a reappearance. Further away this time, on top of the hill, was the Yellow Man, standing still like he wanted me to go to him. As I moved away, he ran down the backside of the hill, disappearing into the surrounding woods. His final appearance happened in the fall, the day before my 10th birthday. In the past, he would appear weeks later. I thought he was done with me, and mostly I had believed that he was a figment of my imagination, that he was something I had created to scare myself and to ensure that I was getting attention from my friends. But some part of me knows he's real, at least to me. Now, he was close and covered in dirt. Standing only 10 feet from me, I was completely stunned with fear. I was too old to believe monsters were real, but still too young to explain what I saw. However, the fear came with a strange comfort. It felt like proof that I wasn't just a kid with a crazy imagination. Seeing him again was like seeing an old friend. He was my friend who came back from a long trip, like he had reconnected the bridge of my imagination to my childhood self. I learned that what I thought was a suit was just yellow skin. There were no holes where his eyes should be, no mouth, just a solid yellow mass. As the Yellow Man started to run further into the woods and away from me, I felt that maybe he was as scared of me as I was. And he wasn't trying to scare me, but he was just watching. After this, I never saw him again. In writing this review, I realized that the Yellow Man was my own version of a ghoul, and he may not have been evil, but sometimes the imagination is more dangerous than reality. Ghouls were supposed to lure travelers into the wilderness, but maybe the real danger is the way our minds wander, into our own deserts, our graveyards, or forests, creating our own monsters from our fears. Although the Yellow Man has been seen by no one but me, he carries the same mysteries as old folklore. He provoked fear, curiosity, and my need for imagination. Maybe the ghouls never left the desert, but changed shape by the things haunting the stories and memories we'll never forget. I think we invent monsters to give shape to our fears and the ever-existing darkness that we can't name. Sometimes these monsters we create can end up teaching us something we didn't know about ourselves, like how alive the feeling of being scared really is, and that to imagine is to remember, and that sometimes the things you imagine can be better than reality. I give The Yellow Man 4.5 stars.